We're here. We made it.
We made it.
I feel like
it's recently returned.
Yes, I feel like should make a little graphic video that shows us like just sliding in our chairs like last minute to play at the beginning. Like, here we are. Right?
Left.
Yeah, I think we were all running a little behind and slow this morning.
And techie issues.
Yeah. Hello, Melanie and Debbie. Thanks for waiting for us, ladies. Yeah, and Kayla was having a little bit of a tech issue on top of all of us, just like, oh, go faster. So we are
I don't know
here.
what's going on today, but it's apparently a lot.
And so Kayla and Heather have some experiences in a place called 101 Cafe that we will say was in Winchester, Indiana, because I guess there's kind of question about whether or not it's even still in business after a fire.
Yeah, it's gone.
Okay. So if you guys have questions about their experiences, please feel free to ask them. We've got a handful of pictures because I guess because it is so gone, like you can't even go in there. Like there's no other evidence or pictures. We have some historical and some history facts, but
yeah, apparently it's like, well, and it's not the first time this has happened there, so it's got its own history of things. But I guess it's gone now, right, Heather? Like it's gone. Not
my
even
understanding is it's gone. Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's been torn down. I haven't been back in years, but I know that the page hasn't had activity in a very long time, other than selling off items that had been in the building. So I'm assuming it's out of business now too.
okay.
It was a cute little area too. Besides the paranormal building itself, it was a cute little area.
Yeah.
Well, then you have to wonder, right? So I'm going to put up like the historic photo of way back in the day. And what I found funny was the caption was like, look how the men loved hanging outside. I'm like, that's your selling point for your photo. So it's on a pretty decent sized chunk of a city corner. So now I would be curious to like if anything is ever built in its place and why is my don't bother me not working? Like if it would have activity, whatever new business or building would have.
I imagine it would, given all the history of it and all the things that have transpired there. I really feel like I'm sure rebuilding there wouldn't go well, to be honest.
Right.
Now, did it look somewhat like this when you ladies were in it and going to it?
Yeah. I mean, pretty close. Obviously, it's a little more worn down since that picture was taken, but pretty well the same, yeah.
Yeah, the whole town was kind of like it was just a really cool like step back in time. I don't know, it was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was what maybe more of what you were seeing, those bottom pictures and a little bit of history. Never mind the kind of headless woman. I was like, I'm going to crop all of this other stuff that happened a long time ago. Now,
she was the last owner, right?
Yeah. Yep, that's Rose. She was the last owner. She was the one that owned it when we went and did our investigations. Wonderful woman, truly. She is just a fantastic person.
Now, what kind of experiences was she having, in her place besides apparently fires?
Yeah. There were tons of things going on there. I mean, there were things from things falling off of the wall, like mirrors falling off the wall. There are voices, like disembodied voices that you would hear. There was a lot of dust, so it was hard to say if the orb activity was actual orbs. But again, it was a very dusty, very weathered building, we'll say, and so crumbling plaster and things. So as far as orb photos in that place, it's kind of hard to really debunk those ones, but we had people getting scratched, we had people getting like their shirts pulled on, like tugged on, kind of like a hey. Lots of crazy stuff.
A couple perverts in there, pervert spirits.
Yeah. Kayla had that experience.
Yeah, which you could actually like start talking. So we had a recording, but we decided not to share that because we don't have permission from people that were part of the investigation. We don't have a way to reach out to them anymore. they have their permission to share that. But you could actually have conversations that kind of get them amped up to be more perverted spirits without like, instigating them. It was kind of like you could have conversations between yourselves and you could feel the male spirits come in and be more active and touchy feely.
Yeah.
That being said, also playing anything like a fire alarm or saying something about a fire would trigger a lot of things because, as we said in the beginning, this was not the first and only fire. So, and Heather knows more about that.
Yeah. So the image that's up on the screen right now has some of the history about the building, and it's really tiny, and I'm old and don't have my glasses on. But the building has served as many, many things over the years, but the cafe that had been there before it was purchased and used for paranormal investigating had to close because of a fire, and it wasn't the first fire, and obviously not the last fire. The building has been riddled with fire issues over the years, as well as been used for so many crazy different things. Some of the things it was used for included being a speakeasy. So some of the history is going to be kind of hush hush. We're not going to know if there were additional fires during the time of the speakeasy because they wouldn't want to tell that, their little speakeasy was on fire. It would have been a secret. So they would have dealt with that kind of hush hush. But there was evidence of that for sure.
Yeah. And evidence of some kids being held there and some women being held there during that time too. So,
yeah.
There was one floor that was more active for all that. I mean, that was the third floor, right? The very top.
Yes.
That had a lot of that going on. And the fire had the basement had a lot of the fire trauma activity. And the upstairs was like the inappropriate, very harsh feeling spirits with the women and the men and the, this is your job. You are here to do this. And children, there was a little girl, right? That was like, I can't remember her name. I guess every haunted place has a little girl.
Yeah.
But, wasn't there a little girl that like kept running and hiding in the building and that somebody had like the history on her?
Yes, I don't have the information anymore. So unfortunately, I left a bad marriage, and when that happened, I left behind all of my paranormal evidence and equipment. And with that is a lot of the information and research that I had spent tons of time doing. So unfortunately, all of this is having to come from memory for the most part. But there were so many named spirits in that building that had stories tied to them that had been corroborated by historical evidence.
Mm. I love when that happens, when you can actually tie, as close to evidence and truth to back up the paranormal as you can get.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, as Melanie was saying, maybe someone didn't want, or something didn't want people in there. And if any of the voices or spirits were verified to be like maybe a woman that had been held there, like maybe she's trying to get you out of there because she knew like what happened and her perception, it could happen to you. I know we have this picture of like this gentleman who with the neck scratches. Were the women ever scratched or, marked in any way as well?
It tended to be the men for whatever reason. That was in the basement. And for whatever reason, whatever was in the basement did not really care for men. And in this particular case, really did not enjoy our friend Aaron. And so that is the back of Aaron's neck where he was scratched. And we were just sitting at the table. We were actually doing a flashlight session. And with the spirits, we had other things out too. And all of a sudden Aaron just kind of was like, ah, and we're like, what? And he's like, my neck is on fire. And this is the photo we took before even looking at it. This is literally the flash photography of seeing it for the first time before we even looked at it with a flashlight to see what was going on. Because we wanted it to be authentic and we didn't want anybody to have like touched him, like, oh, are you okay? And then cause the scratch. So that is exactly what you see there. And it's really spread out. Like for that to have been a human hand, if you look, I mean, one is way up by his ear. Like the finger marks, I guess you could say, are very spread out and don't match like a typical scratch pattern, if you will.
Yeah, I was gonna say you would have to either put down a couple finger, That's why I'm sitting. I'm like, how do we? Sorry if anybody thinks I'm doing sign language. I'm not. Yeah. That is very widely because most people, right, if you're gonna scratch in self-defense, you're tight and you're, wanting to make sure your fingers don't, especially if you're hypermobile, start bending in the wrong direction and not causing
Right.
any.
Something only people like us would think about. Like, I don't want to be hypermobile and scratch the wrong way.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Chairs, just like, or demon claw. Were there any suspicions of maybe non-human spirits, entities being in that building ever?
I wouldn't say demonic per se.
Right.
Oh, but like darker spirits, definitely, or entities, I guess would be the better choice. But
Definitely some darkness there. I never once picked up on anything demonic, possessed, anything that felt genuinely evil. Definitely anger. Definitely like a lot of aggression, I
a lot of
guess.
secrets they didn't want out. Like when you start asking
Yeah.
questions, if you were getting information from other spirits, the more aggressive spirits got much nastier because they did not want you having the information about them and what they were doing. So there's like this, and then you'll find that a lot of buildings from that era, right? Where like there was this facade, like the storefront or like something that the building was supposed to be for, but there was always some sort of underground chaos going on or behind the scenes chaos. And pretty much everybody, well, the time that I was there, anybody that has some sort of like physical contact or something really negative happen, it was like we were just starting to get information, getting somewhere, and then all of a sudden it was somebody was getting beat up spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted their secrets kept. They were
Yes.
okay with you sharing the good parts and oh, this is what happened here, or we did this here, and there was okay with those things. But when you started talking about, bad things that were done to people, it didn't go well.
Right. And that's the photo to the basement. So the first floor that you walk into is a cafe, and it was recently, I say recently, it's been over 10 years now, but in the fairly recent history relative to the building, it was an actual cafe. It was just a little corner restaurant with a functioning kitchen. So that part of the building is very modern, renovated, clean, painted. I mean, it had functioning appliances and things like that. It had heat and air. The rest of the building had been empty for many years. And the basement was definitely a very different feeling than the rest of the building. Some more history on the place. It was the original source of Mrs. Wick's pies. So if you've ever had Mrs. Wick's pies or Miss Wick's pies that you can buy frozen in the freezer section at most grocery stores, that brand is originated in the building that you're looking at here. And right above that basement door is a kitchen, and that's where Mrs. Wick's pies started at. So that's kind of cool. So it's a
Yeah.
legacy that lives.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
honestly, like I put that up when Kayla was talking about like secrets about the building. So the caption on this was about the door to the speakeasy.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, they wouldn't want any coppers coming in to shut down their speakeasy. But as I'm like looking, I'm like, this looks like an image designed for a horror video game. Like that is perfect outline for
Yeah.
something in a horror game.
The third floor was kind of like that too. It was weird. I feel like the middle section was okay, and then the basement and the top part were like whole different levels of things going on. It was like,
Right.
if somebody like dropped you off of them and then like show you the whole building, you would not really think you're in the same location.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like being in the kitchen, like if like at least for me, when I'd close my eyes, I could feel the energy of a kitchen team running around chasing down, a salad or throwing a burger on the grill. You could feel that kind of purposeful energy, that kind of intense energy, more of like a residual. It
And
wasn't
community.
yeah.
Like there's a community feeling to that middle section.
Very much so. Like in the cafe area where guests would be seated and at the bar that sat along there, it was like a soda shop, like a soda fountain like bar. And that used to be a pharmacy at one point too, so it makes sense that there would be a soda fountain counter there because that would have been a thing. But when you sat in that room, you felt very warm and comforted and like you were waiting on your friend to come through the door at any minute. But then as soon as you leave that part of the building and go to any of the apartment spaces that used to be a brothel upstairs, any of the other things that were there, or, it's a very different vibe there. And I often wonder if that didn't lead to all of the fires, like that kind of clash of energies, if you will.
Mm.
Yeah. Just making things kind of short circuit.
Yeah.
inside, because there, like, some of the fires were kind of not really, there was never really a found cause, right? Like there was
Right.
never really like evidence of it with the investigation. Like there was never evidence, not our investigation, like fire investigations. There really wasn't like you know, solid evidence about what or why they were caused.
Were they
Right.
always caused kind of in the same spot, or did the fires kind of move around in the building?
Kitchen area. They were all kitchen area, even when the kitchen wasn't being used.
How convenient.
Now, those are the ones I know about. Again, I'm not like an expert on the building, and I haven't been there since 2018, so it's been a minute.
Well,
But
people were trapped in the basement for one, right?
yeah,
Like that was why we had like when somebody played the fire alarm while we were there, and there's just all sorts of, I mean, all chaos broke loose, like energetically, spiritually, there when we played the fire alarm, because people were at one point trapped in the basement because of a fire.
I don't again don't know all of the details. It's been 9 years, but yeah, there I know there was some issues with that. There are confirmed deaths in the building, and some of that information. There was a woman that killed her husband in the building, and then she cut herself on a window running away and ended up in the hospital for that one. But so I know that happened. So there's been a murder in the building. Like there's been all kinds of energy. And like I said, upstairs at one point was a brothel, the basement was a speakeasy. It was also used out front where there was one of the police like phone things, like a police station where you would call for the cops out front when phones weren't really a big thing. So there was a lot of different energy brought into this thing through the years. A dentist's office was in there and a pharmacy. So people were going to get well, but they were also doing less than savory things too.
Oh no.
Kind of what floor you ended up on really is.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm trying to like Google like how far away is this from me? And Google keeps trying to send me to the wrong main street. And I'm like, stop it.
That's funny. So it's about an hour past me, and I'm about 3 hours for you. So it's about 4 hours, I'd say. Probably a little shy of that because you'll go diagonal. You wouldn't come straight down to me and then over. So I'd say it's probably about 3.5 to 4 hours if I had to guess.
So I think it was like 7.5 hours for me from
Mm-hmm.
my area. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're like 4 hours from me up near Cleveland. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
And
far
there's
out y'all are.
Well, and there's a lot of paranormal locations in that area because so 101 is in Winchester, Indiana, and right up the street is the Randolph County Infirmary, or the Randolph County Asylum. So it was the Randolph County, Indiana Poor Farm, and it is very, very active and a very interesting place. There's also the old Blackford County Jail, and that's in Hartford City, Indiana, which is again right around the corner from there, and it is an old 1800s jail that is still it is still in great working order. It's not used as a jail anymore. A fellow lives there, but you can do tours of the place, and it's awesome. So it's like a paranormal hotbed in that area.
Hmm.
Um, Not far away is Post Town. Post Town is only about an hour from there. We talked about that the last time we all spoke. So
Mhm.
that whole area within like a 1 hour span, there's a whole hotbed of paranormal activity in this area.
And the interesting thing, because I drove so far to get there, and there's a lot of cornfields, like a lot
Sure.
of them. It's weird because you can feel when you're starting to get close to a town where there's like activity happening. Because you're just driving, it's like corn, 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 and then all of a sudden you can like just feel it go in through your body, like, oh, I'm getting close to
Right.
something.
Right.
And then you're like in a little town, and you're like, aha, there's things going on here.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
So, Melanie, we were actually talking about this right before we went live that Winchester, whoever designed the city, should be fired because there is 101 Main Street, 101 North Main, and 101 South Main. And maybe because 101 Cafe is closed down, Google is like, you didn't really mean that because there's nothing to see here. So here's 101 North Main. And I'm like, no, I mean what I said. Take me here. But yeah, and I'm like, I hate city planners who do that. You know, I'm like, you're a jerk. Why
Yeah.
would you do that? But I feel like it would almost be worthwhile to like do a long weekend adventure in Indiana in those places because they're all kind of close together, being that they're only an hour away here and there.
Yeah.
That, to be like so close, Because I can't even think really of anything in Ohio where you get that many close together. You're driving a couple hours in every direction to get to anything.
Yeah, there's a few in the greater Dayton area. There's the Sorg Opera House in Middletown and Post Town, which is right outside of Middletown. And then there's the seminary in Cincinnati. But that's about it. I mean, any further, there's a house in Trenton too. But again, it's pretty spread out in the area. Indiana, in that area, though, it's real close together. There's a hotel in Red Key, Indiana, right up the street. There's the Hannah House in Indianapolis, and then there's the Rhodes Hotel, and all of those are well documented paranormal hotspots, and they're all like within like an hour and a half of each other. It's a lot.
Here we go down with the Woowoo bus, Woowoo wagon. We need a Woowoo
We need
wagon.
a tour bus to load people up and like, let's go. And yes, Melanie, we would have to get that tour bus down to Savannah. I feel you typing it out already.
I was just gonna say, there's a whole list. We got to make a whole list of our cross country Woowoo tour.
Yeah. Which we would have Melanie as like our tour guide down there, unless either one of you are familiar as well with Savannah.
Well, Heather,
A little bit. We've got a house and a farm in South Georgia.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah.
As much as I'm all for the paranormal stuff, I would like to be in charge of finding good places to eat. Thank you. Because
La Jolla in
nobody
Dublin,
wants to be
Georgia.
hangry because that's a whole other level of paranormal. So
I could feel it, Melanie. I could feel it. But no, Savannah would be on the list once able to start going down. Has anyone used a Ouija board? You know what? It's funny. I have tried. I can be watching people use it and be getting a lot of answers. The minute I touch it, that thing will stop moving. They don't like playing with me. Go figure.
It's a protection thing. Yeah.
Just curious, what does woo-woo mean? It's funny because woo-woo started out and in some instances meant kind of a negative about anything paranormal, metaphysical. And a lot of us in that world have reclaimed it, back as like a fun, non-derogative way of talking about these topics under that umbrella. So, people back in the day were like, oh, that's that woo-woo stuff. Now we're like, yeah, we're woo-woo and we enjoy and we have fun and we learn and we teach others. So we have reclaimed that.
We own our woo-woo-ness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a proud woo-woo.
Marianne is not a fan of Ouija boards and she would yell at me. She's like, why do you sell these? And I'm like, that keeps us employed. What are you talking about? This keeps you going out, Marianne. Like,
I think just like anything else though, you can get yourself into trouble just using a pendulum or dowsing rods or other dowsing methods, even muscle testing. So just be smart, be protected, learn how to do things. I mean, anybody can pick something up and play with it. You just don't know what you're going to get. And that keeps you employed. You can sell the things. People do not smart things, don't ask for directions, and then you can call me afterwards. I will gladly. I'd rather not have to, but I always will.
And for me, Ouija boards have always been no different than an EVP recorder, because with a Ouija board, you are asking spirit to communicate with you and using the planchette as the vessel for communication, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you're using a digital recorder or even just an analog recorder and you're recording and provoking questions, asking questions and asking for an answer, you're just streamlining the process. Instead of having to learn to spell and read, you're just getting the answer right out of the horse's mouth. So it's no different to me. So for me, Ouija boards have never been all that more scary than using digital recorders. And I think for me anyway, like even at 101, it was important to be protected when you're using both. And everybody gets really careful about the Ouija boards, but digital recorders are the same. I've definitely picked up some recordings that are nefarious for sure on a digital recorder, the same as I would a Ouija board. So for what it's worth, I mean, there's that.
Even talking with the flame or using glass swirling, where you're basically doing the same thing, but with nothing marked out, right? You're just using it to guide answers, yes or no, that kind of thing. Yeah. There's so many different things, and I guess we can go way down the rabbit hole, which would be a whole nother podcast, not this one, as far as what cards, like what you can do with cards and runes and stones and that kind of thing. Like, any of it has a risk that comes with it. It's just a matter of how you're using it, what your intent is, and how well protected you are, and how good you are at clearing those things.
Right. So, Chair, asks, did you ever leave a clean, shiny surface like a mirror in a room and come back the next day to see if it has fingerprints? So maybe if you were doing like an overnight investigation, so you would be able to go back and look at something.
I don't think I ever have done that.
We did that at, I want to say Rolling Hills. Don't quote me on it. No, it would have been Waverly Hills. Waverly, yeah. I think it was there. We didn't have anything come from it, but we also had another couple people that came. They kind of basically invited themselves. So we don't really know that they didn't mess with it because like equipment mysteriously got knocked over, but it was like in a weird spot where it shouldn't have got knocked over. So it kind of seemed like people were messing with other people's equipment, basically is what it came down to. So there was no solid good evidence on that other than people were probably being kind of jerky. And once those people left, everything changed. So, I mean, but as far as, yes, we did try that technique, and I do know other people have tried that too and have had good results with it. But the situation where I was there and tried it, we had other things going on that kind of detracted from that.
So. Oh, that would have been cool. She's like, can you imagine if those prints matched old police records?
Right.
Like you solved your murder.
Go ahead.
No, we did use thermal contact paper. So it was a sheet a little bit smaller than a piece of just 8.5 by 11 paper. I'd say it was probably like a 7 by 9 if I had to guess. But it was a thermal contact paper, and it was like I don't know, the color of glow in the dark stuff, kind of that yellowy green pale color. And it was very thermoreactive. So if you touched it with your hand, it would turn like warm, like reds, yellows, oranges kind of colors. But if you like put an ice cube on it, it would turn cooler colors, like the blues and the purples and the greens, to indicate the color was kind of like the temperature. So it was like a giant version of the forehead thermometers that stick on, kind of, sort of. And we would use those in locations as well at times and put them on the table and, ask questions and talk and, can you touch this paper? Can you show us that you're here? And we definitely did see a few times where there were little dots. I won't say it was a fingerprint, but I will say that it definitely looked like somebody had gone boop to it. It pretty well looked exactly like somebody had done that.
Now I want to go find this paper. I have not heard of this type of
Why
paper.
do we not have that?
Yeah, I can't remember. It was either Will or I can't remember if it was Will or Patrick had gotten like a kit of stuff that they had ordered, and it was just one of the things that were there, and we played with it a little bit, and it was really cool, so we took it out, and we never got like handprints or footprints or animal prints, but we definitely got like somebody went like that and booped it.
Huh. Can you boop the paper, please? And thank you, Ghost.
Right. And I mean, you get what you get, spirit gives whatever they can give, but it was really cool.
Yeah, because you always hear about the voice recorders, the toys, the things that react when they get close or touch, but I have never heard of the contact paper. And I'm like, that opens up a whole new world of, having fun, maybe in a paranormal investigation. Probably not very good to use outside, though, I'm thinking.
No, and not in sun, and you can't use it well, you can use it really anywhere. The thing is, like, it'll start to turn the base color of the room. So, like, when we use it in a basement where it's 55-ish degrees, it's going to start picking up a green cast because it's colder and it's thermoreactive, right? And same when you're upstairs in an attic where it's hot, it starts to pick up the yellow and orange warmer tones. So it's a little, I don't want to say it's skewed because it's still like universal whatever ambient temperature is, if that makes sense. But
Okay.
we only ever had one sheet, and I would love to find it again for other things because it's a great it's a great tool for
Really
other
cool.
things.
Google
Yeah.
that.
But
You got
speaking of
connections.
objects, we were talking about the objects. Misfit Manor was a big part of 101. And there were dolls that had been brought from all over the place. Most of them were antique dolls, they were antique mannequins. And it was a room at 101 that was literally just filled with dolls and mannequins. And it had a creepy vibe to it just because of all the antique dolls, because antique dolls are just creepy in general. But It definitely, you could feel a lot of weird energy in that room because there were so many people attached to so many different dolls. And it was just like very chaotic for me. That was an awkward room. How about you, Kayla?
I try really hard to ignore the doll part of it just because they're clowns. Because you'll find a lot of buildings that you go to have a clown room or a doll room or these kind of things to kind of, enhance things for people's already existing fears. It would be a moth room for me. I'm like, dolls, clowns, moths, no. But yeah, there was definitely a difference in, I believe that's where the little girl was, right? That like it was like a mom and a little girl, and like the mom always kept protecting her. And I believe that was that area. It's almost like she was trying to get her to blend in there or like distract her from the bad things that were like keep her safe from the grown men. Is really what it came down to. Is like there was a mother there. She gave birth to her there, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I don't honestly remember.
Okay.
But I feel like that was a thing. I feel like it was one of the ladies of the night that had gotten pregnant and gave birth and raised the daughter there. And I feel like her name was Sarah. I really feel like her name was Sarah.
And there was like the really angry guy that kept trying to get to the little girl, even like in spirit kept trying to get to her. And it was like, that was like, the mother was not vicious. But she was very protective, like doing everything she could, like basically throwing herself out there. But I remember feeling like she was using the dolls to hide her daughter, basically, and to be a distraction more than the dolls being creepy themselves. It was more like a camouflage.
Yeah.
So the doll part didn't bother me. It was more the whole, like, as a human, right, being so mad about somebody doing those kind of things to women and children. It was really hard to not be like angry about that, want to do something about it. But it's like, you're just going to hurt yourself if you punch air. So, but as far as, crossing things, which we have to be careful with that too. Like, not everybody that has these places wants things crossed over, and we can't cross those boundaries typically.
Yep. Definitely. And that definitely opens up another point there. When you go to these locations to investigate, there are times you come across things, people, entities that need to cross over. They need to not be here. But you have to respect the wishes of the people who own the property where you're at. And sometimes that's a real conflict.
Yeah.
So Chair, she's like, if you have a receipt machine, so that is a different kind of, there's the thermal paper. And as I'm learning, as I Google, you need heat reactive, because you can touch those thermal rolls all you want. Nothing changes on those, because it's got to be really high heat and it turns black. However, on a science site meant for like teachers, we can get a pack of 100 for $45. And if anybody wants to order their own pack of heat sensitive paper, there's the link in chat. You can get it in blue, and they usually have red. Red is out of stock, so blue it is for you.
They should pay you extra for that because you're promoting your business.
I mean, some of us want to go do some science experiments now, and some of those science experiments may or may not be in a haunted building. So there you go. But so that is the difference. Like the thermal paper for receipts only react by high heat to make those letters. And if you leave that receipt in like the front dash of your car, eventually like it will gray and black out. So if you need that for taxes, don't leave your receipts there. They're useless to you at that point. And they will kind of fade over time. But
New York State does it with their fishing licenses too. I don't know about other states, but they print their licenses on that paper. So it's like, it could be in your tackle box on a 90-degree day. And it's like, yeah, I have it, but it's this black thing now.
Yeah, it used to be this thing.
It's your fault for giving me this.
Yeah. You should print this out in
cardstock. Crossing spirits over.
Yeah. Have they asked you guys to cross them over?
I don't remember having to do that there, but yes, I've definitely been at locations where they've had me cross spirits over. Kind of depends on the owner. Kind of depends on what they're doing with the building. Usually it's people that want to live there or turn it into something, or that are empathic and are just like, oh, I want these spirits to be set free. Then you have ones that, unfortunately, to say this, want to make money off of the location and do not want them to be removed, or they would rather bring more things in. So unfortunately, sometimes that situation actually does come down to a money thing for people versus a heart thing. So
here's like, if I really had the ability to really see them and make the light and everything, that's where I would tell the spirits, like, there's going to be a light across the street.
Wink, wink.
Yes.
Nod, nod.
I would like to cross over, because I don't feel like a living human should be able to like trap a spirit who is suffering, who wants to cross over for monetary gain. I'm sure there are plenty of dead spirits that enjoy being dead and messing with people. Fine, leave them there. And that also means the human owner is going to have to deal with that particular spirit, and that's what you asked for. But you got a little girl, you got a mom, you got a dad, you got whoever that's like, I would like to cross over and I don't know how. And you're like, well, go across the street. That big white bright thing, walk into that.
There's several of us, I might know one, that do that. Which is also why sometimes teams don't want to work with you. But sometimes you literally just, you're self-conscious, doesn't want to, it's not okay. And sometimes you kind of have to make that call, even if you're not saying something to anybody. It's not about me getting attention for crossing spirits over, right? It's about doing the right thing. And sometimes it's like, okay, I guess I can live without doing this because this is kind of what's going on. But sometimes it's just like, well, I get that you're saying that. However, this isn't okay. So we're just going to kind of do this anyway. So I guess it's just kind of a personal judgment call, or what you're comfortable with. And it is harder when you're paying to be at a location. When somebody's having you come to their house, or somebody actually wants you to come help with things, it's kind of a whole different ballgame than when you're going to a paranormal active location that's been documented and is famous and is on TV, because they want to keep, it comes ego and money are there. So.
Well, and a lot of these places require a lot of restoration or maintenance in order to keep them, to preserve them, and that requires money. And some of these large properties. Sorry, some of these large properties.
We are not rated for children. You're fine.
Okay, my bad.
I am not rated for children, so.
Some of these properties, though, I mean, they take an obscene amount of money to maintain, to get them to be structurally safe, to even just continue to exist for future generations to explore, right? And so, I mean, I get it. There's that too. I mean, I sincerely understand both sides of it, but it is a bit of a moral dilemma.
Sometimes you have to kind of pick and choose what you're letting stay there, though. Like the ones that are really, like, a child shouldn't be left in it. You would not leave your personal child with humans that are abusing it or doing things to them. So, like, sometimes you kind of have to, like, I'm glad you're getting a lot of evidence from that. However, it's just not fair.
Right.
So, and it's interesting though, because a lot of these buildings that do get worked on, and they do need the money, and they use many of them do use those funds for that. But things like 101 happen where it continues to have random fires where there's no evidence of the cause of the fires, or there'll be flooding issues and pipes breaking. And those things are literally spirit in the universe saying, what the hell are you doing to us? This isn't okay. And usually the more people try to stop that, the worse it gets.
Yeah, it's rough.
Was there like a starting point where the paranormal activity really picked up? Like, was it a certain type of business that went in that the spirits were like, we don't like this right here, stop it, versus like previous?
As far as I know, there's been paranormal activity in this location dating back like long before the last owner had it. People that worked at Miss Wick's Pies when it was there would comment about things happening in the building way back then, and that was, almost 100 years ago. So, or possibly even over 100. I'd have to research it, but I mean, it's been a long time that there's been activity at that building. So it leads me to wonder almost if that was a burial ground, if that was sacred space for somebody else before it was ever 101 at all.
Right. Yeah, the area itself has, it was one of the main, people were brought there with medical issues too. There was a couple instances for that, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So, it had a lot of things coming to it, because even before it was populated like it is or was, years ago, it was like the closest hub that you could get to for help or to call for police or for fire. Like that's where you had to go, was there. So it brought all that energy to that area on its own, just because you're miles and miles and miles of cornfields and literally just cornfields. Oh, there's a lot of rodeo training places around there too. I remember that. I was like, I might stop there after. Wonder who's there.
And it's right across from the courthouse. The county courthouse is directly across the street from it. It is a big, beautiful, ornate courthouse with statues and memorials to generals and war heroes.
So you know you're at the right 101 Main if you see the courthouse. It's not one of
not
the others.
Inside of the courthouse, but
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel like there's been so many things to that. Like there didn't used to be like urgent cares. Like now we can drive down the road and there's like a well now pretty much everywhere, right? But there wasn't those things. You went to the closest town to find the doctor, or you know, and that's kind of, or whoever was not even necessarily a doctor, whoever had like some medical idea of what they were doing or tried to be doing.
Pharmacists for a while. I mean, you could go to the pharmacist and they were formulating meds right there and compounding them. So you would go to the pharmacy for an aspirin, just like you would go now for a prescription. So there was that as well.
Mm-hmm. I always found it interesting. And Heather, I think it was earlier, you were talking about how like soda shops and pharmacies, like they were one and the same, you know, pretty much back then, which, you know, now that those are two separate businesses, you got different licenses, different health inspections going on for both. But back in the day, you know, the gentleman that was giving you your soda pop and candy was also your pharmacist, you know.
Hence Coca-Cola.
Yeah, with the cocaine in it. No wonder people got more stuff done back then. It had cocaine in it. But you know, it's interesting because I want to say even in the current monsters about Ed Gein, which is so off what really happened, don't use that for anything to learn about Ed Gein. Like they keep showing him in that like soda shop, you know, fountain shop and everything, and you know, so I'm like, where are the pills and all of that back there? Because that was back in the 1950s, so maybe it had separated by then. But like how creepy is that? The soda shop with the pharmacy, and here's Ed Gein, you know. I'm like, But it's a really cool building from the historical photos, and I wish I could get Google to show me some current, because even if the fire's outside or inside, surely we can see what the outside might still look like if it hasn't been completely taken down. So if you're wanting to do a drive-by and kind of park outside and feel it, but Google will keep taking you to 101 North Main, unfortunately.
You have to be your own Google once you get there. Wait till you find the right spot.
Right. Hey guys, I am so sorry. I have to cut out. I am so sorry.
No worries.
Part for today.
I'm sorry, it's part for the course.
Yeah, it is. Today's just a great day.
Well, we're almost at our hour anyway. So if anybody has any questions to ask Kayla about 101 Cafe or anything paranormal related for our last couple minutes, now is the time. We will drive the bus over Kayla for her to answer.
No, so when we discussed doing this, well, it was 2 weeks ago, right? Because I had to miss last week. Apparently, doctors in Western New York are now only working on Wednesdays. I don't know what the deal is with that right now. It's kind of weird. But I don't even remember why I just. Oh, yeah. So the last show we did, we talked about doing 101 because we thought we both had a lot of evidence, Heather and I. We do not, because like she said, it disappeared. It got taken with some of the other things. And there was like a whole group page and like a shared Google album at one point with where everybody put in their evidence, their pictures, their recordings, and it has poof disappeared off their paranormal page, off the event pages, off of the Google albums. So it was kind of a bummer that we did not know that until we started trying to put stuff together for the show. And we're like, okay, well, maybe we have this source, and reaching out to some of the people that we still do talk to from that event. And they're like, yeah, I still have stuff. And then getting a message back going, no, I don't have stuff. It's all gone now. So I think the same thing happened to all of us, where we all kept putting in a shared thing and somehow it all disappeared. So, which has also led to a bunch of us looking through other things going, oh, these things that were tied to a group disappeared. So we kind of have to recalculate some of the stuff we had in mind because the evidence poof and disappeared, which is why we need you guys to send us pictures or videos of evidence.
As we try to reformulate going forward and trying to plan out like, oh crap, we can't talk about that because that's all gone. Chair Bear asks, what from your experience is the most reliable method for detecting or communicating with ghosts? Or is there different methods that work better for different types?
So kind of trick question because I use myself as a medium. Like I'm the conduit. I'm a big fan of dowsing though, even whether it's healing, readings, paranormal work. I'm a big fan of letting people see how and why I'm getting the information that I'm getting. So using a pendulum, you always want to make sure between each spirit, you're positive, you're negative, how they're selecting something, that kind of thing, or finding a location or direction. Dowsing rods. I really like dowsing rods more for like finding people or finding a location, finding a portal. Pendulums are really good for when you want to select something or find the direction that a portal is rotating or, so I feel like all the different modalities have like their own perks of things. Mm-hmm. Things like glass swirling are talking with candles, fire communication. I know there's like some different fire scrying. There's like different terms for all that. I feel like those are really good for helping people see how they're talking to their own loved ones because it gives them like an interactive sense of I can put my finger on this glass with you and talk with you to my loved ones. So I feel like it really kind of depends. I did have a glass blow up at a paranormal location one time. We decided to try it. It was not at 101. We decided to try it on just the same way we would have any other time on a hard wooden table with a rocker glass, and the glass literally just went poof and blew apart. Shards of glass went everywhere. So that was the end of that. So I will say disclaimer, because I feel like we have to have those things. Disclaimer that if you do, be careful, you are playing with glass.
Yeah, how would Melanie ask for items to be given back?
So kind of could depend on what source they came from, right? Did the fairies take it? Like we've talked about, we had the fairy episodes. So was it fairies that took it? Was it a loved one? Is it your cat? Because, cats are not going to give it back. But you can literally ask your higher self to connect with other spirits. Ask to connect that way, like outside of yourself, your higher pure self, your universal self, to request from what spirit took it to return it to you. Return it. And I always ask, can you please return it where it's easy for me to see? That's great if they return it, but they put it in your junk drawer that you don't look at but once a year. You're not going to find it. So that would be more of a family thing. they seem like they were definitely tied to family, and I believe amber is also used for that, right? That's like tied to ancestral as far as a crystal.
I mean, you could, if you think of it, because trees, many trees are older than we are, right? So how many people plant a tree on family property and it was from like their great grandma, but the tree outlives us. So you can think of it that way. The sap and the bark and everything can communicate that way ancestrally. And it could also be, and I'm wondering, are they not being worn enough? Or like, is the family
occasions? Like, I mean, like
these were given to you where if you're not, because I feel like sometimes that's kind of more of the issue. Like you don't wear them enough, or you wear them to the wrong place, or maybe like they were supposed to be given to you for a while, but now there's a new younger person and it needs to be handed down, and that hasn't happened. So the spirit's like, fine, I'll do it. So it's kind of like finding out why they took it, to make it easier to ask for it back. So they weren't handed down from the person, from an antique, maybe the original owner who had them wanted them back.
They want them back to their family. They're mad at whoever gave them away from their family, and
that happens a lot. And women tend to be attached, especially older generations, very attached to their jewelry.
Yeah.
In certain types of pieces of furniture, because that was really, really valuable back then, right? So
where's the vanity cabinets, like that kind of.
Yeah. I could quite. How can I wear them?
I'm going to tap into that a little bit more. A slippery slope that we try not to get too far into personal things, but it's very likely that they were taken because they don't belong to you, to be honest. So I know you paid for them rightfully, monetarily. They belong to you. Energetically, not so much. I actually personally had a ring that fell off my hand at a very, very busy event at a convention center. I went to go grab it. This lady grabbed it out from under my hand and took off with it. I followed her, asked her for my ring, and she told me to F off. She didn't have it. I'm like, I literally, like, we almost headbutted each other, and you took my ring off the floor, and you walked away with it. Like, kind of hard to deny it. By that night, when I got home, I went to go grab my towel out of a cupboard to take a shower, and the ring was actually folded up in a towel. So when I opened the towel up, the ring fell on the floor. I was like, huh, fancy that. That bitch was not supposed to have it. So
yeah, Melanie's like drawn to them, so that's why she bought them.
Well, so that those things can happen. So there's so many broad things that happen with the spirit world, right? So they might have been trapped in that shop, or a spirit not being able to track them down. And by you being brought to them, it's like, oh, they, we can have her bring them out, and they're more accessible to us. I also do feel like they are something you're supposed to be handing down. And if that's not your intention, if your intention is like that, you would like to be able to resell them at some point or something like that, that will upset the spirits that they originally tied to. There are times, like, it could be a gift from somebody that they don't want somebody else to have, like almost like a possessive thing. I have seen that a few times with items. So I feel amber for you in general is a good stone to be using. So I feel that was a big part of your attraction to them. But in the meantime, you could definitely work with other amber stones. Well, it's not really technically a stone, but I would honestly start working with amber and then ask for them to come back. Like, show your respect, learn more about amber, how it works, what it's for, healing purposes, spiritual purposes, and then ask for them to come back. Because as of right now, just asking for them to come back, I'm getting a pretty clear message. You're not going to get them back. They're not really completely meant to be yours. So almost kind of like earning their respect.
What's funny is last night we recorded a podcast with Amy Key out of California about feng shui. And in the very beginning, she was talking about how everything has a type of living energy, but places like houses and stuff do as well. But it's the humans that wake it up where the key, she says, to unlock it and living it. And so, it's like even those inanimate objects like jewelry will have like a bit of livingness, consciousness. So it's like kind of communicating with that jewelry and being like, look, I'm going to respect you, come back. And so Kayla, as you're mentioning that, I'm like, how funny. Cause even, Amy was like, everything has a consciousness and an energy and is living. And I'm like, oh, here we go. We touch back on that again. And as we're talking about this and talking about passing down jewelry, like 2 of my rings are actual spoon rings from a great grandma. And, I will tell people, like, as, heat temperatures fluctuate and your hands swell and shrink, and sometimes they get loose. And I'm like, I will burn the world down to find those rings. Like any other ring, whatever, who cares? Those 2, I will find them. The world stops until I find those, because like they have been handed down. And kind of sad in a way that I don't have a daughter that I can hand them to, and there are no nieces. So this will have to be, keeping an eye on some like cousins and stuff at some point to be like, here you go.
Pressure, all of you behave.
Yeah.
But I'm just boat. I have some really unique things that have been handed down to me from a lot of different places. I'm like, I have nobody to give them to. So
yeah, I mean, unless Rune ever decides to finally, like, get a girlfriend or finally have a kid of his own, which I don't see that happening. But, and I'm like, actual spoon rings from great grandma spoons, cutlery set, like, here they are. Maybe. He's 22 right now. He's not into all of that. That's fine. But, maybe it's someday.
I'm too young to be an aunt.
But It's very interesting, right? When it comes to like jewelry and handing things down, antiques and stuff, like if things start going funny with them, how and why, and then, on a tangent, it's like if grandma or grandpa said you were supposed to have it, but somebody else in the family snatched it, and it goes missing, nobody can find it. It's like, okay, well, grandma, grandpa reclaimed it, but why are they not bringing it back and giving it to the person who's supposed to have that, and then it's like, well, now we need to go find a good medium that can go find grandma, grandpa and be like, so where isn't, why aren't you giving it to the person?
Sometimes they want you to reconnect with somebody in the family, and that's their way of doing it. Like, there's so many things, right, that they're just like, we're going to take this hostage and we're going to get what we want any which way, that you are not cooperating.
Yeah.
So, there's so many, it's always so diverse. Like, what we do is never boring, because there's always like, you can't just be like, oh, this is a textbook situation. They took your earrings, they took your book, whatever, because of this. Like, it keeps us on our toes.
I feel like a soap opera series could be written off of those type of things,
Oh, definitely. Maybe in our next lifetime, which is not going to be on Earth, but
it is no longer the guiding light, or God, what are some of the other ones that like grandma and mom and all them used to watch? Like the
Days of Our Life.
One Life to Live, Guiding Light. Oh my God, there was like 6 of them between 2 or 3 channels.
For Melanie, I'm being told that those aren't the only earrings that went missing. Like, there's other jewelry that went missing also. So just a heads up on that. Yeah, as the world turns.
Right.
They're trying to get your attention for some other things.
Yeah, ghosts need a bit of drama in their life too, I guess.
We would be doing this too, right? If we were dead, we'd be like, what can we meddle with today?
Yep. So she's like, yeah, other pieces have gone missing.
Yeah. So I would really kind of make note of each of those pieces, what they were made out of, how they made you feel. So that's a really big thing people tend to overlook. It's not just what they physically are or what they stand for, but what was your emotional attachment to that? Like, did you feel anger or regret or remorse towards it? Did you feel happy? Did you feel a connection to it? Like, pay attention, because people do inherit things that they're not necessarily drawn to. The other thing is addressing how you feel when you actually hold it. Like, how you'll hear things, they'll say, like, when you're cleaning out your house, hold the item and see how it makes you feel. It's no different than with the things that have disappeared for you. Like, think about how you felt when you had it. Or was there a reason you didn't want to wear it? Was there a reason you kept it in a box and not in your jewelry box? Like, think about those kind of things, who they're tied to, what they're tied to, where they're tied to, and then kind of see what happens.
Yeah, she said they always made her feel safe.
So just go back to the working with the amber for starters, and then work from there, and then start asking for them back. But keep an eye out for the other jewelry too, because they're testing you right now. I'm like really being told that they are testing you on doing your own spiritual work and your own like connection to things. So I'm almost getting lectured myself over here, which they do sometimes.
All right. Well, Kayla, you mentioned earlier a few minutes ago about dowsing rods, and I wanted to point out, like, we carry dowsing rods. They're not on the website yet, mainly because they're handmade and each one's different. But the gentleman who makes those for us is actually Kathy Fekatek's husband. And Kathy, she and her husband put on the Parapsychon at Mansfield, and she is the paranormal coordinator for Mansfield Reformatory. So it's kind of cool that he's the one who makes those. So if anybody wants some really good dowsing rods, like, shoot me a message. I can send you pictures of different things. But that's why they're not on the website yet, because each pair he brings in, they're all completely different. So I can't say, red beaded dowsing rods, black, because sometimes it'll be red and black. And I'm like, duh, like, dude.
Color dowsing rods, various colors.
Yeah.
I also now have to run because I'm getting another call. So I'm really sorry, but
no worries. Yeah, I was like, I need to get going too for getting to the store. So thanks for joining us,
see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody.
And we'll see everybody next week. If you have any, I said, you know what? I'll shoot that message over to Kayla as soon as I get off and see what she says. But if anybody has any personal stories or pictures or videos, please feel free to send them in. It is a safe space to do so. And we will kind of talk about it, go over it, ask you some questions like, what were you feeling? Where was this at? And, get some extra eyes on that. But thanks for joining, guys. And we plan on being back next Wednesday at 10 a.m. To talk more ghosty stuff. No, she doesn't. She's like, whoop. So there is no soft out when that happens. But thanks for joining, guys, and we will see you next week. And for those of us in our Discord, today's pictures are already up in Discord. So bye, guys.